No one warned us about the grief that comes just before retirement. I'm not talking about like a grief caused by a crisis or huge traumatic event. I'm talking about the more quiet background grief, that dull ache that can occur. And you can feel it even when life seems to look fine, that you've done everything right. My name is Amy Palmer. I am your Gen X Big Sister, and today I'm going to talk about pre-tirement grief, letting go of the life that you thought you'd have by now. So, let's talk about what is the grief. What is the grief about? I've talked a lot about the grief, like my own journey with that. My own journey with that was around having children and the grief that I just assumed I would have children. And then when I hit menopause, trying to come to terms with the fact that that was not going to happen. That door was being closed. And I've only recently sort of opened my eyes and ears to like around me, to other Gen X women who are in similar circumstances, but for different reasons, not the childless grief. It is the grief about the life that they didn't get. It didn't turn out the way that they thought. And when you're hitting your menopausal years, when you're in your pre-tirement phase, you definitely feel like the clock is running out, and that there's certain things that you don't have time for. Now, I am a big proponent of there is no deadline, there's no timeline, it's never too late, you can make it happen. Let's be real, there are certain things in the world that at a certain age you can't make happen, or it's significantly more difficult to make happen and requires a significant amount of other types of resources, maybe money or whatever. But you get this feeling of, the clock is ticking and you're running out of time to make these things happen. It could be just dreams that you always had, who you've always wanted to be, that you never really got to be. It could be other careers that you had aspired to. It could be, maybe you didn't, your family didn't turn out the way you expected it to. Maybe your relationship with your kids didn't, or maybe your marriage ended. Maybe you went down a different path professionally, and yes, you could go that other way, but you don't have like the training and background to go this other way. Maybe you never lived in the town or the city that you always dreamed to live. And sometimes there's grief over that. And letting go, you never became the Oscar award winning actress that you always set out to be. And sure, technically, yes, that could still happen. But you also can start to feel like this dull ache of these things that just didn't come to fruition and just didn't happen. And why it tends to show up at this point in our lives is we can kind of see a deadline coming up, or we think we can, during this pre-tirement phase. We in many cases, we've crafted a life that has like fewer distractions. We're physically slowing down. And so when we're physically slowing down, or our bodies are slowing down, we're more susceptible to grief and some of those things coming up. Time becomes more, I think we just start to really feel our own mortality as we are losing our parents, we're losing people older than us. We're seeing it, we're next up, so to speak. So we're face to face with our own mortality. So there's definitely some early grief about what you haven't had happen, what you didn't make happen, what you didn't do. And it's hard. I mean, we minimize those feelings, or we may not even like recognize that that's what it is, because we think to ourselves, well, I should be thankful. I'm thankful and I'm grateful for everything that I have, so I shouldn't have regret. I shouldn't have regret, and so that grief, that dull ache, I'm not entitled to that feeling, right? And Gen X training kicks in again. We don't dwell. We don't wallow. We don't dwell. We don't wallow. We push our way through. We keep moving. We know other people have it worse. So that grief is something that we will overlook. We will minimize. We won't pay attention to it. But grief, it's not shameful. It's not that you're not grateful. It's not that you don't understand that you have a wonderful life. Grief is just honesty. It gives you a chance to live your life and still mourn parts of it. It's okay to mourn, pieces of it while still having a beautiful life in other areas. So what helps with this? If you once you identify it, which is the first thing that helps, like naming it. What is it that you lost? What where's that grief coming from? You never went on that backpack trip across Europe as a young 20 something you always wanted to do, or you never went surfing in Hawaii, or you never, your marriage didn't last till death do you part, whatever it is. I mean, for me, yes, it's the child thing, but it could also be I gave up on my acting career too soon, and I didn't give that the life and the chance that I could have. So is there grief around not having the creative career that I had longed to have? So it's naming it, letting it exist. You don't have to solve it. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to figure out a way to do that backpack trip across Europe. Yes, maybe you could, but you don't have to do that now. You can just acknowledge the feeling and be with it, and not feeling like you got to rush to do something about it. Just make space for it. It doesn't have to mean anything. It doesn't mean that you failed at something. It doesn't mean that you weren't enough with something or about something. It just is what it is. And you feel sad about it. And that's okay. So just sit with it. Don't try to fix it. Maybe you're at a loss. Maybe you're not sure that this is even a thing for you. So I would suggest that you ask yourself, what am I quietly grieving that I never talk about? Is there a loss or a regret or I never had a chance to, that quietly makes me sad or makes me grieve, and possibly that I have some shame around? And the other grief is, maybe you thought your life at this phase of your life, this pre-tirement phase, maybe you thought it was going to look different than it does. If you are a parent of grown children, maybe you envisioned what that was going to look like, and maybe they ended up all like moving out of state, and it's not what you envisioned or wanted. Maybe you envisioned that you would be financially way ahead of where you actually are right now, and you envision that you'd be taking a lot more trips than you've been doing. So, what are those things that you're quietly feeling grief about? And how can you give that the time and the space and the quiet that it deserves? It's okay to feel that way. Grief is It's about being more honest with yourself, being more honest with your full self. So I invite you to do that before you even start to think about taking any kind of action. My name is Amy Palmer. Please like and subscribe to this channel. This is your GenX Big Sister signing off.